Okay, we're going to review our musical math. Remember, we have to remember our notes and how many beats they receive in order to do the math properly. So, let's do a quick review. Our whole note is 4 beats. A half note is 2 beats. Dotted half note receives 3 beats. Quarter note receives 1 beat. Eighth note receives 1/2 beat. 16th note receives 1/4 of a beat. Now let's review our rests. Remember what the symbols look like. Half rest, looks like a hat, receives 2 beats. Our whole rest, an upside down hat, receives 4 beats. A dotted half rest, a hat with a dot beside it, is 3 beats. Our quarter rest, kind of looks like a lightning bolt, receives 1 beat. Eighth rest, looks like a little 7, receives 1/2 of a beat. 16th rest receives 1/4 of a beat. Now let's do the math. When we get ready to do the math, the first thing we must do is substitute the notes for the number of beats it receives. It's just like when you do math in math class and you have an unknown. You're trying to find the unknown. But we know what the unknowns are because for this note, we know how many beats it receives. So if we had a problem where we have a half note plus a half note, and we want to know what the answer is, we substitute first 2 beats for the half note, copy down our plus sign. Our other half note is 2 beats as well. So now we just solve it like a regular math problem. 2 plus 2 equals 4. So 4 is our answer. This is how you show your work. Let's try another one. Quarter note minus quarter note. Substitute the values. Quarter note receives 1 beat. Copy down our minus sign. This quarter note receives 1 beat. 1 minus 1 equals 0. So our answer will be 0. Let's try some with some fractions in it. We have a whole note plus an eighth note. The whole note is 4 beats. Copy down the plus sign. Our eighth note is 1/2 a beat. So what do? Remember in math, when you add a whole number and a fraction, you will place the whole number over 1 to make it a fraction. Now we have to find a common denominator, which are the bottom numbers. Okay, the common denominator between 1 and 2 is 2. Okay, so what do I multiply by 1 in my first fraction to get 2? 1 times 2 is 2. So I must multiply the top number by that same number. So I'm going to multiply 2 and 2. So 4 times 2 is 8. My second fraction has the same, already has the common denominator. So I just copy that fraction. Now I can do my adding. So I add the top numbers only. So 8 plus 1 equals 9. And then you bring over your denominator. When you simplify it, 4 and 1/2. Okay, let's try another one. Let's do some multiplication this time. Okay, so substitute 1 times dotted half note is 3 times eighth note is 1/2. Now, according to our order of operations, remember, PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. We don't have any parentheses and we don't have any exponents, but we do have multiplication, and you do them in order from left to right. So we'll multiply 1 times 3, which will give us 3 times 1/2. Okay, now we have a whole number and a fraction. Put the whole number over 1 to make it a fraction. Multiply across. You don't find a common denominator with multiplying. So 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Simplify. 1 and 1/2. Let's try where we have multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction in the same problem. So we have a whole note plus a half note times a dotted half note minus a quarter note. Okay, you won't automatically just go from left to right. So we look at PEMDAS. It says parentheses, no parentheses, exponents, no exponents, multiplication and division from left to right. So the first one we see is multiplication here. So let's multiply. So we have 2 times 3. Okay? So let's copy down the rest of our numbers. 4 plus minus 1. 2 times 3 is 6. Copy down the other numbers. So now we solved our multiplication. Now our addition and subtraction is in order from left to right. So we're starting from the left. 4 plus 6 is 10. Minus 1 equals 9. Okay, now PEMDAS says do parentheses first. So do our parentheses. So we're going to first substitute our numbers, copy parentheses, 2 minus 1 times 2 divided by 1. Let's do our parentheses. 2 minus 1 is 2. Sorry. 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 times 2 divided by 1. So now we do an order from left to right of multiplication and division. They're on the same level. So 1 times 2 is 2. And then 2 divided by 1 is 2. So that is our answer. If you try to do it any other way, it will be incorrect. Okay? So the keys to this are follow the order of operations, PEMDAS. Make sure you substitute the numbers for the notes before you start. That will help you to solve the problem. All right? Now here's a challenge. So let's solve it. Substitute. Okay. PEMDAS says parentheses first. So I'm going to copy down the numbers I'm not using. So doing my parentheses. 4 times 1/2. Put the 4 over 1. Multiply across. 4 times 1 is 4. Divided by 1 times 2 is 2. So 4/2 is what's left. Okay? So now, next step. After parentheses, multiplication, division, in order from left to right. So we're doing this now. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 4 over 2. Let's get a common denominator. In this case, it will be 8. Our first number already has 8 in the denominator, so I'm going to just copy it. Now, 2 times 1 gives me 8. Two times 4. So I have to multiply by 4 on both sides. Up top and on bottom. So 2 times 4 gives me 8. 4 times 4 on the top gives me 16. So now, just add. Add the top numbers only. 1 plus 16 is 17. Copy the denominator. And now simplify. 8 goes into 17 how many times? 2 times. 8 times 2 is 16. So how many are left over? 1. So put the 1 over the 8. Okay, so 2 1/8 is the answer. Okay, I hope this helps. Study hard. Have a good day. Bye-bye.